Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-28. Bhavan yugantarnavaurmimalini Kṣṇimimamo shadhiverudham nidham Maya sahoro kramateja ojasa Tasmai jagat pranaganatmane namaha. Bhavan, your lordship, Yuga Anta Arnave, in the water of devastation at the end of the millennium, Urmimalini, possessing rows of big waves, Kṣṇim, the planet Earth, Imam, this, Oshadhivi Rudham, of all kinds of herbs and drugs, Nidhim, the storehouse, Maya, me, Saha, with, Uru, great, Kramate, you roamed, Aja, O unborn one, Ojasa, with speed, Tasmai, unto him, Jagat, of the entire universe, Pranagana Atmane, the ultimate source of life, Namah, my respectful obeisances, Iti, thus. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O Almighty Lord, at the end of the millennium, this planet Earth, which is the source of all kinds of herbs, drugs and trees, was inundated by water and drowned beneath the devastating waves. At that time, you protected me along with the earth and roamed the sea with great speed. O unborn one, you are the actual maintainer of the entire universal creation, and therefore, you are the cause of all living entities. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please repeat. O Almighty Lord, at the end of the millennium, this planet Earth, which is the source of all kinds of herbs, drugs and trees, was inundated by water and drowned beneath the devastating waves. At that time, you protected me along with the earth and roamed the sea with great speed. O unborn one, you are the actual maintainer of the entire universal creation, and therefore, you are the cause of all living entities. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Envious persons cannot appreciate how wonderfully the Lord creates, maintains, and annihilates the universe, but devotees of the Lord can understand this perfectly well. Devotees can see how the Lord is acting behind the wonderful workings of the material nature. In Bhagavad Gita 9:10, the Lord says, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. All the wonderful transformations of nature are happening under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Envious persons cannot see this, but a devotee, even though very humble and even if uneducated, knows that behind all the activities of nature is the supreme hand of the Supreme Being. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are the prayers in the Ramyaka Varsha, the last of them. So Bhavan Yugantarnava, Urmimalini. So how the end of the universe, or this is not exactly end, this is Yuganta. So Yugantara means the changing of yugas. So there are 4 kinds of devastations. It's explained. I think it's 1174 probably. Is it the one? No. 11. Fully gambling with numbers. Definitely not. 1117 4. Not. What is the verse? 4 types of annihilation. Yeah. Oh, 12, 7, 17. Okay. Then there is the other one is 12, 7, 4 or 12, 4, 7, something like this. So anyway, 12, 7, 17. नैमित्तिकः प्राकृतिको नित्य आत्यन्तिको लयः संस्थेति कविभिः प्रोक्तश्चतुर्धास्य स्वभावतः. नैमित्तिकः occasional, प्राकृतिकः elemental, नित्यः continuous, आत्यन्तिकः ultimate. So laya, pralaya, annihilation, samstha, dissolution. So there are 4 types of cosmic annihilation: occasional, elemental, continuous, and ultimate, all of which are affected by the inherent potency of the Supreme Lord. Learned scholars have designated this topic dissolution. So dissolution in Sanskrit is nirodha. So nirodha, the 10 subjects of the Bhagavatam are there, Bhagavatam has 10 subjects, No? Bhagavad Gita have 5 subjects, What are the 5? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. So, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, the material nature, time, and fruitive activities. So, Bhagavad Gita, if we see, there are these 5 topics. Apparently, I always wanted to find the source of that, these 5 topics, where it is. found it in the Tattvavit quoted from, yeah. There is also from Bhallaveya Shruti, 4 items which are eternal are mentioned, and then the karma, what is the other one? So from, I think, Rigveda or something. Bhallaveya Shruti is quoted in Tattvasandarbha, the 4 eternal things that Vyasadeva also saw in his meditation. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashat purusham purnam mayam chatat apashrayam 174, and on 175 yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam parope manute nartham tatkritam chabhipadyate. Then the ways of coming out of it. Yasyam vaishruyamanayam. No, anarthopashamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje lokas sajanato pumsa vidvam chakre satvata samhitam. Then Yasyam Vaishruyamanaya. So, in those 10 topics, so Bhagavatam has 10 topics. It's actually explained in 2 places. 2:10:1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manmantareshanukathan Nirodho Muktirashrayah. This Nirodha is actually dissolution. So the 10 subjects of Bhagavatam are these. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, creation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of manus, the signs of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and the summum bonum. The summum bonum is the absolute truth. And of these 10 subjects, one is Ashraya, the rest is Ashrita. The one is the shelter of everything else. And it's very beautifully described in Tattvasandarbha as well, that in order, actually, this second verse actually explains it. Dashamasya vishuddhyartham navanamiha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmanaha shrutena arthena chanjasa. To isolate the transcendence of the summum bonum, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic evidence, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanations given by the great sages. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the topics are being introduced. So the 10 subjects are introduced, and then next immediately, it is said here, of the 10, to isolate the 10th one, the rest 9 are described in order to understand the greatness of the 10. It's very interesting, because actually everything is the Lord. Idam hi vishvam bhagavan ivetara, 1:5:20. The whole cosmos is non-different from the Lord. Sarvam khalvidam brahma, the Vedic statements also say. So Kṛṣṇa Vasudeva Sarvamiti, these are all the same statements. Krishna is everything. But we cannot understand his greatness until we see his opulence. Although opulence is also Krishna, but they're all dependent on Krishna. Krishna is the independent entity, everything else is dependent. That's why in Ishopanishad, 12th verse, I think. Yeah. Andham tamah pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyam rataha. You see, those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. Although the translation is given like this, if we really look at this, see how Prabhupada is explaining the purport, the first word. The Sanskrit word asambhuti refers to those who have no independent existence. That's why it's translated as demigods, because they have no. But actually, this definition extends to everything that is dependent. Ashrita tattva. If we worship anything in the Ashrita tattva, whether it be demigods, whether it be common man, a king or a pop star or whatever, if we worship anything, or even material nature, money, anything, if we worship anything that is dependent, only one thing is independent, Swarat, that is the Supreme Lord. Abhigya Swarat. First verse of the Bhagavatam, right? So the Lord is Swarat, or he is Sambhuti. See, Sambhuti is the absolute personality of Godhead who is absolutely independent of everything. So he is the Ashraya Tattva. He does not, ashray means shelter. He is not sheltered by anything else. He is the shelter of everything and everyone else. Eko bahunamyo vidadhati kaman. So, here if we, with this understanding, if we look back at that verse, you see, ye asambhutim upasate. Upasate means to worship. So if we, asambhutim here is demigods, but actually anything asambhutim, anything that means if we worship the ashrita tattva in any capacity, it's what will happen? We are going to the darkness of ignorance. But then the interesting part is, tato bhuya iva te tama yaus sambhutyam rataha. Those who worship the absolute truth, they go to even darker. What is that? Those who worship the absolute. So that's why here is the impersonal aspect of the absolute. So unless Vaishnava Acharyas explain like this, we cannot really understand. That's why Upanishads are very difficult to parse. Very difficult to parse. The meaning can be very confounding. Ambiguous statements. They're not ambiguous. Actually, why I was always thinking, why would Vyasadeva write in such ambiguous language when he could have made it much clearer? Instead of saying Sambhutyam, put Supreme Lord Bhagavan or something, or Devata or something. Asambhuti, okay, I can understand if it is dependent, that is understandable. But Sambhutyam, why that's, it can be, interpreted differently, right? But again, Jiva Goswami explains in the Sandarbhas, that it was to facilitate the impersonalists or those who are less advanced in their understanding to get them to the absolute truth. And he said a very important point, that similarity is the easiest way to impart knowledge in the beginning. So we cannot understand the Supreme Lord if we understand ourselves, the individual soul first, which is a sample of God, then juxtapose that with the position of the Lord, but in infinite capacity. The quantity is great, qualitatively same, quantitatively great, different. So if we understand the sample God, which we are, then we can understand the original personality of Godhead by extending the quantity. So in order to, when the statements are seemingly ambiguous, they're actually describing the absolute truth without all the variety, the knowledge of variety, all these opulences. So because Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, because if we say what is the opulence of God, for example, wealth is one of the opulences of God. But wealth is his energy, so he's non-different from him. We are separating God and his qualities and opulences, but actually, in one sense, he is also them. So this is Achintya Bheda Bheda. He is one and simultaneously one and different from his opulences. So when they are mentioned like that, ambiguous language, it is describing the absolute truth without the detail of variety as one. So that's why it is sounding like that. But it's actually a step to first of all gather some understanding and then expand that understanding. So anyway, Vyasadeva explains this, Jiva Goswami explains this very nicely in the Tattva Sandarbha. So these statements are there. Asambhutim. So this, coming back to the actual point, the 10 topics of Bhagavatam, only one of them is Ashraya Tattva. The rest of all is Ashrita Tattva. Ashrita means something which is sheltered by some Ashraya. Ashraya means shelter. So Kṛṣṇa is the shelter of everything. Now, Nirodha, destruction, is one of the items which is of the Ashrita Tattva. It is dependent on him. So, in this Nirodha, there are 4 divisions of Nirodha. So, just like second canto has these 10 subjects, the 12th canto also has these 10 subjects. If we go to 12, 7, 9, 10, 9, 10. Sargosyath visargascha vritti rakshantarani cha vamsho vamshanucharitam Samstha hetur apashre. Samstha here means destruction. Dashabhir lakshanair yuktam puranam tadvido viduhu. Kechit panchavidham brahman mahadalpa vyavasthaya. So these are the 10 subjects of any Mahapuran actually. Not only Bhagavatam. But Bhagavatam has it in the best, in the highest description of these 10. So anyway, authorities in the matter of understanding Puran contain, they say the Puranas contain 10 characteristic topics. The creation of this universe, subsequent creation of worlds and beings, the maintenance of all living beings, their sustenance, the rule of various manus, the dynasties of great kings, the activities of such kings, annihilation, motivation, and the supreme shelter. So now the names are slightly different from the other list, but it's pretty much the same. Jiva Goswami also explains that. These things, after 210.1 and 210.2, 210.3 to 210.9 are expanding upon each of these topics. So I don't want to go into each of them. So one of them is Nirodha or Samstha, which is destruction. Then the 4 types of destruction are there. So Yugantara is one of the destructions, one of the 4 types. Some acharyas do not accept that there is Yugantara destruction, but some acharyas do. And here is Bhagavatam is quoted. Jiva Goswami also quotes from the Bhagavatam saying that there is Yugantara Pralaya, Yugantara Laya. And here we have such a devastation after the first Manu or before the first Manu? No, after the first Manu and also after the sixth Manu, Chakshusha Manu. There was this, so this Vaivasvata Manu was, he saw the Matsya Avatar. So Matsya Avatar came in these 2 inundations. So in the previous verse, there was that word which Prabhu was showing and highlighting, Matsarajvara. Actually, let's read that because Prabhu gave a very nice explanation on that. But this is actually pertinent to today's discussion as well. You see here, Yam lokapalaha kila matsarajvara hitva yatantopi prithak sametyacha patum nashe dvipadascha sarisripam sthanu yadatra drishyate. 5:18:27. My Lord, from the great leaders of the universe, such as Lord Brahma and other demigods, down to the political leaders of this world, all are envious of your authority. Without your help, however, they could neither separately nor concertedly maintain the innumerable living entities within the universe. You are actually the only maintainer of all human beings, of animals like cows and asses, and of plants, reptiles, birds, mountains, and whatever else is visible within this material world. Now, if a leader has to be a devotee in any capacity, whether it's father, mother, demigod, guru, ruler, king, anybody, they have to be devotee, husband. So these things are there. 5:18, you know that. What is that? Pitana sasya, janani sasya. What is that? Gururna sasya, svachano sasya, pitana sasya, janani sasya. Daivam na tatsyan, napatischa sasyan, namocha yadya samapetam mrityum. So if one cannot deliver the dependence from birth and death, he should not become. So that means how to deliver from birth and death? Only when we take to the instructions of Kṛṣṇa. So therefore, the king or anybody who is a leader in any capacity has to be a devotee and guide the rest in that way. So here it is said, without your help, if they don't do so, they actually cannot. Patum na shekur. Patum na shekur means they cannot protect. They cannot protect. In their own, whether individually or collectively, then they're having United Nations, G7 meeting, G8, whatever they made, all useless. And bombs are dropped on Iran and everywhere there's war going on. And what protection is going on? So, they cannot actually come to a proper conclusion of anything or proper harmonization of anything if they give up the shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, The interesting word here is Matsara Jvara, the fever of envy. Fever of envy. So everyone in this world are envious of the Supreme Lord. So Prabhu actually applied this verse in case of our movement, where we are envious of Prabhupada. I mean, the gurus are envious of Prabhupada, and they are seeing Prabhupada as a competitor. And Matsara Jvara. And therefore, they cannot protect their disciples. Same like this verse says. So, coming back to this word, Matsara Jvara. So, this is an interesting word because these prayers are to actually Matsya avatar. And Matsya means what? Fish. And you know why it's called Matsya? Fish are very envious. They will always, one fish is eating another fish. Envy means, my happiness should come at the cost of your suffering. So you have to suffer for my. So every fish is eating another fish, another fish, another fish. So in fact, in Mahabharata, that word is used, that Matsya Dharma. If there is no anarchy, is described as Matsya Dharma. Anarchy is where there is no government. So what then will happen? The powerful will, they will, what is that? Bully the innocent. I mean, the less powerful. Just like in the animal kingdom, the more powerful animals, they live at the cost of less. Phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Phalguni means weak. Mahatam means strong. So stronger animals eat weaker animals. In this way, the order is maintained by animal method. And this is even more so in fish, in the aquatic world. In seconds and seconds, in a few seconds, this fish is eating this fish and another fish is, it's just horrible. So Matsya Dharma, the occupation of the Matsya, were by nature envious, and that's why they are the bottom of the evolutionary scale. What is that? Jalaja Navalakshani. Bottom. So it is said, Manusmriti says, whoever eats fish is considered to have eaten all other meat. Manusmriti says. So it is that sinful. So Matsya Dharma, Matsara Jvaraha. But the Lord, Vishnu Prabhu gave a beautiful class that a few verses before, that the Lord is always in the mode of goodness. He is unaffected by the modes of passion and ignorance at all. So he does not have these Matsara qualities. Although he came as Matsya avatar, in fact, he came for the protection of the world, protection of the Vedas. In fact, that is out of Suhrit. One cannot be a Suhrit by being a Matsarata. If I envy, how can I be Suhrit? Suhrit means well-wisher. I cannot be a well-wisher if I am an envious person. But the Lord protected the Vedas, protected all the seeds of the, actually, let's see. He made earth into a boat, and that's explained, right? You see? This is what? Oh, Tattvavit dāsa. What is this? Lord Matsya and super string theory. Oh, some scientific. So Matsya told the king, I want to actually go to the... What is that? Matsya, earth. Is it this? 1:3:15, I think it's Matsya Avatar. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshushamano. Let's see, what is the verse? Yeah. Rupam sa jagrihe matsyam chakshushodati samplave navyaropya mahi mayam apad vaivasvatam manum. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat. 4:8:17. This is different. Did anybody find it? How the Lord what SSR? Eight 34:35. Is it this one? Tvam tāvad oshadhihi sarva बीजान्य उच्चावचानि च सप्तर्षिभिर परिवृतः सर्वसत्वोपबृंहितः आरुह्य बृहतीं नावं विचरिष्यस्य अविक्लवः एकार्णवे निरालोके ऋषीणामेव वर्चसा. Thereafter, O king, you shall collect all types of herbs and seeds and load them on that great boat. Then, accompanied by the 7 rishis and surrounded by all kinds of living entities, you shall get aboard that boat, and without moroseness, you shall easily travel with your companions on the ocean of inundation, the only illumination being the effulgence of the great rishis. So, the boat is actually this whole, you see the title of this chapter, Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. So, this is how the fish incarnation, Matsya avatar, came. And all the seeds of the different plants and everything, in fact, not only plants, of all living entities, are collected here in this boat, along with the key personalities of the universe. Then, as the boat is tossed about by the powerful winds, attach the vessel to my horn by means of the great serpent Vasuki, for I shall be present by your side. You see? So, that boat, which is actually the earth becomes the boat. The entire earth, Bhumandala, not this small earth, big Bhumandala, becomes the boat, and on it will all be the seeds and everything, and then that boat should be tied with a rope we need, right? Vasuki serpent, the biggest snake in the universe. That Vasuki serpent, who was also used for the churning of the ocean. What is that? Mandara mountain was churned by this Vasuki serpent. So the Vasuki serpent tied to the earth and tied on the other side to the horn of the Matsya avatar. Have you seen a fish with horn? In the Arctic regions, there is one whale. It's called the narwhal. Have you heard narwhal? Narwhals, you have heard? You have seen videos? So narwhals have this, and until now the scientists do not know why the horn is there. It's like a sword, but they don't really fight with it so much. Hardly any use that is known use. Of course, Kṛṣṇa doesn't make it without any use. So there must be some use. But the Matsya avatar had a horn, and the boat of the earth was tied to that horn. So the Matsya avatar was pulling the boat. So this Matsya is not envious Matsya. There is the Supreme Lord who is Suhrit, well-wishing friend of everyone. Suhridam sarvabhutanam. So he protects the Vedas, he protects all the seeds. So in other words, the scientists, when they say, oh, this species has become extinct, that species has become extinct, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. Why? Because you see, the Lord, even at the time of devastation, he carried the seeds of all living entities. So maybe in our vision it is no more there, but it is not that it is no more there at all. That's not true. In other planets or this planet or somewhere, the Lord has always the store of all these species. Nothing gets lost. Nobody can destroy the Lord's creation. In fact, it is like this, that the species are always there. We come and occupy some of the bodies of different species. Species are already there. The soul occupies one of the bodies of the already established species. Same, actually, this is also explained in the Tattva Sandarbha again, that quoting from the references of the Vedas, that even the demigods, The principle of the demigod, each demigod is eternal. The names of the demigods are eternal. Every time the demigods are born in each creation, they occupy that post. The post is always there. The name is always there. Yeah. So the demigods are created after the name, not that the name was given after the demigods came into being. So that is explained as eternal names. So it is explained in the context that sometimes there is Skanda Puran. Skanda is a demigod. Oh, people may argue that that means this Skanda Puran is temporally bound to time, because Skanda came at a certain time, and after that only this name was given after him. But no, Skanda name existed way before. Just like all the demigods have their prototype in the Vishnu Tattva in the Vaikuntha Loka. Even Ganesh, for example, has a prototype in the Vaikuntha Loka. Vishwaksena, or even what is that? Gajanana. So they are Vishnu Tattva or eternal associates. Vishnu Tattva, actually original Vishnu Tattva. So then that's why even the famous verse for Ganesh also, Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayat Sarva Vigno Pashanta. There is no mention of Ganesh name here. Vishnu is mentioned. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayat Sarva Vigno Pashanta. So if you worship Vishnu, then Sarva Vigno Pashanta, not worship Ganesh demigod. But Ganesh demigod gets the power from Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa. So he kind of becomes the proxy for the Supreme Lord. But the original mantra is to always Vishnu. So all the demigods are eternally situated in Vishnu Tattva. Not demigods, I mean the eternal prototype of these demigods. And the demigods that come after that are named after them, and that names are always there, whether creation is done or not. These names are always there. So therefore the Vedas are always eternal. Skanda Puran, even mentioned as Skanda Puran, it is still eternal. Because the principles that are mentioned in these Vedic scriptures are always eternal. So Vasuki's Matsya avatar came and saved the whole situation by collecting all the seeds of all living entities. So if you go back, 5:18:28. So in this way we learn about even destruction of the universe. Again, the scientists do not have an idea how the universe will be destroyed. They say, oh, the supernova happens, there will be a big fire. And that is true. That is also explained in our thing. At the time of devastation, the sun becomes 12 times its size, which is pretty much what the scientists have said. But the other aspects of the dissolution, they are unable to extrapolate in their heads, and they do not know the full details. So with their inference, they may come to some details, even mostly not clear. What is the word for not clear? Yeah, it's unclear. It's very we can doubt it. I mean, it's arguable. So some may be true, some may not be true. It can be, but the Vedic information is conclusive. Sometimes it may match with what the scientist is saying, sometimes it may not. And it doesn't matter really. This is always correct. It's not that the scientists are always wrong. That is also not. For example, there is a nice, in Nectar of Devotion, Sandipani Muni is described in this way, that when Sandipani Muni is teaching Kṛṣṇa, actually Kṛṣṇa does not need a teacher, but Sandipani Muni is teaching Kṛṣṇa. So the example is given that the water from the ocean is evaporated by the sun, forms into clouds, falls as rain, comes as rivers back into the ocean. So similarly, the knowledge that Kṛṣṇa has actually disseminated to everyone, and it's coming through the channel of disciplic succession back again to him. So which means this cycle, water cycle that we have learned in school, the evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and then back to the ocean, these things are not denied by Vedic science, because that example is used to describe this Sandipani Muni. I was saying Sanatana Goswami. Sandipani Muni. So that aspect of rainfall is not denied, and yet we have the other explanation that Indra is in charge of the rain, Surya is in charge of the sun, and the ocean there is Varuna. So there is that aspect and this aspect as well. So it manifests, and the way we perceive it, that is not denied. So it's multiple versions of the same reality, multiple layers of the same reality is seen by different living entities. Just like how the space, the earth, the moon situation, how we see it, how the demigods see it, is all different. And we should not be too alarmed. Hey, why is it so different? Why the one scripture is mentioning like this, another scripture, scientists are mentioning, it's not matching. We should not be too worried about it at all, because, like, in the universal form, Arjuna saw it like this. Is it this one? Next, I think 11, 13. Yeah, you see, Tatraikastham Jagat Kṛṣṇam Pravibhaktam Manekadha Apashyad Devadevasya Sharire Pandavastada. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe, situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So the universe is expanded, unlimited expansions. The same universe can be perceived in different ways by different living entities. And we should not be too concerned. Oh, how come it is different? No, it can be different. We can find smaller differences, even the way animals perceive versus we. I shared that video, right? How a deer sees the tiger versus how humans see the tiger. You've seen that video? I many times spoke about it, but that video was there. So we see the tiger as orange and black, yellow black stripes. The deer does not see like that. For him, he sees it as green grass. He doesn't see any. Only when the tiger moves, he can see, oh, there's something moving. If the tiger stays put, the deer cannot notice, because he sees only two colors. We see three colors. Everything has a mixture of three colors. They see two colors. So in the camera, they showed how a deer sees, and when he shows it like that, actually the deer is right in front of him, tiger. He cannot see it. I was thinking, why you cannot see it? Always I was wondering, when I see those wildlife movies, why they cannot see? Because of this. So how they see it, how we see it. Some animals are totally colorblind. Only black and white they see. I think dogs also. Is it so? Huh? Right? Black and white they see, apparently. So, but their hearing is, they hear something, ultrasonic sounds we cannot hear. They have the dog whistles. When you blow a dog whistle, you cannot hear it. It's ultrasonic. What is that? Beyond decibels that we can hear. But the dogs can hear. For us it is silent. For them it is very loud. From far they can hear that whistle. So we have to accept the fact that our senses are given to us to experience one slice of the entire burger of reality. One slice we can experience of the entire reality. We cannot have all. So we should not be too proud of our sensory perception and decide everything and evaluate everything based on our sensory perception. We cannot. We should not. That is hubris. That is excessive pride. So anyway, coming back. Shonimimam Oshadi Virudham Nidhim. You see, Nidhim. He is the Urmimal name. Yugantararnave Urmimal name. Nidhim means the storehouse. The storehouse of all the seeds, herbs, drugs, everything. He made a storehouse of it. Uru, see, Maya Saha Urukramate Aja Ojasa Pranaganatmane Namah. So that boat had all the seeds of the all living entities, and everything was, intact. Now you see there is an interesting thing. The scientists, there is a, they have, what, a safe, like we put money in a safe. Banks have big safe. They have a safe where they collect all the seeds of the plants, different plants. You know this? Huh? There is where is that place? I forgot. And they have it in few places, and the biggest one I think is America somewhere. So they store all the seeds of different plants and all the kinds of plants they want to store. They actually there's a video on that. So they are trying to do this work of the Lord. They want to be the Lord. We are protecting all. The real thing is annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha. Yajnad bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha. We have to rely on the natural supplies given by the Supreme Lord for all our food. We don't need to store these seeds. That is, what is that? That is out of fear that one day these will become extinct, these will become gone. So we will store, so that when the time comes, we will use this. Why the time comes? When we become irreligious. Because if we don't become irreligious, when Kṛṣṇa was here, what did Kunti Devi say? I think 38 or 39. What did Kunti Devi say? I think the next 39. No. 40. Yes. Ime janapadaha sriddhaha supakvaushadi virudhaha vanadrinadyudanmanto hyedhante tava vikshitaeh. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans are full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. So if Krishna's merciful glance is there, there will be abundance of these things, natural supplies. And in the this verse, 8:110, I think. Is this? Okay, this is... Okay, let's try something else. 7:14:7. 7:14:8. 7:14:10. Yeah, you see, Divyam Bhaumam Chantariksham Vittam Achyuta Nirmitam Tat Sarvam Upayunjana Etat Kuryat Svato Buddha. Achyuta Nirmitam Vittam Achyuta Nirmitam. This is important. The natural products created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. The necessities of life are of three types: those produced from the sky, from rainfall, from the earth, from the mines, the seas, or the fields, and from the atmosphere, that which is obtained suddenly and unexpectedly. So these things are formed in different ways. So these natural supplies are Vittam Achyuta Nirmitam, which is decided by the Supreme Lord. If we artificially produce necessities, then we have to do Ugra Karma. Time is wasted. It comes at a cost. We should not be just attracted by the glamour of what is possible if we put in some effort and do some artificial things, because it comes with a cost, a very heavy cost, which is forgetfulness of Kṛṣṇa. And forgetfulness of Kṛṣṇa in very, very disastrous ways. Whole lifetime of forgetfulness. The rare human form of life will be wasted in Ugra Karma. Ugra Karma means horrible work, dangerous work. It is dangerous on multiple levels. Sometimes it is actually physically dangerous, sometimes it is mentally dangerous, but at all times it is spiritually dangerous. Because it induces forgetfulness of Krishna, which is the greatest anomaly, the greatest, what is that? Sahanischan mahachidram samoha sachavibhramaha yanmuhurtam kshanam vapi vasudevam nachintayet. See, if one forgets Krishna for a moment, it is the greatest loss, greatest anomaly, um, greatest illusion. So that is very, very dangerous. And padam padam yad vipadam. Every step is danger here. We can die at any moment, and if we don't remember Krishna at the time of death, that is the greatest danger. Death is not the greatest danger. Forgetfulness of Krishna is at the time of death. So, how to remember Krishna? We have to remember Krishna through what we experience in this world. That is the way, the beginning of how to remember Krishna. What we experience with our senses, we should be able to connect it with Krishna. And how to do that? And that's why these statements are there. To enable us to connect to Krishna by seeing everyday things. Now, so we are all curious. That's why the scientists kind of explored the possibility of how the universe was created, how it will be destroyed, and how long it will survive. These things are always the subjects of curiosity of all thinking men, thinking population. So that curiosity is satisfied by the Lord, is rewarded, with some knowledge in the form of Vedic literature, but all in relation with the Lord. The destruction of the universe is discussed, which is actually the subject of discussion for the great physicists, right? They discuss about how universe will be destroyed, the supernova and all this. Only is a niche subject for the physicists, astrophysicists, and that kind of space enthusiasts. Not for everyone. But Bhagavatam, it is discussed in a way that is applicable to everyone. Because in that way we can meditate on this. Is actually a pastime of the Lord. When Krishna says Janma Karma Chame Divyam, it does not only mean when he came as Krishna, then his activities, those are his activities. No. His activities are not limited to them. Oh, he killed Putana, he killed this demon, he danced with the gopis, and he did this and that. Yes, there are his activities, definitely, most definitely. But also, everything is his activity. The whole creation is also his activity, because Sarga, Visarga, first and primary, secondary creation is his. So, if we study this creation, destruction, anything in relation with the Lord, that is the way to actually become Krishna conscious. And that is the principle that Prabhupada also used to introduce Krishna consciousness in domains where there is no interest in Krishna consciousness. See, there is this offense that we should not preach to the faithless, right? We should not do that offense of preaching to the faithless. But you see how this Acharya is always very anxious, like Prahlad Maharaj. He's anxious. My anxiety is what? That these fools and rascals are making elaborate plans. And I cannot see them suffer like that. You see, Naivodvije paradurat yayavaitaranyas. You know this verse? Naivodvije paradurat yayavaitaranyas tvadviryagáya mahamritamagna chitta shoche tato vimukacetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharamudvahato vimudhan. Maya Sukhaya Bharamudvahato Vimudhan. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. Vasudeva Datta, when he said he wants to take all the reactions of everyone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you are the incarnation of Prahlad. Because Prahlad always thought about this. In fact, the name Prahlad means how to give happiness to others. So he wanted to take all the sins of everybody, and then he wanted to give Krishna consciousness to everybody. So Vasudev Datta. So if you see Prabhupada also, he wrote a similar song, Vrindavane Bhajan. In that, he mentions this, that people are making so many plans. In fact, he used the word plan. Actually, it's a Bengali poem, but he used the word plan. So many plans they're making. And they're not interested in Krishna. But you see how Prabhupada infiltrated the scientific community with evolution, attacking the evolution, attacking moon landing, attacking the life comes from chemicals, this proposition. So he was attacking all these things. Why? Because they're not having any faith. We should not be preaching to them. No. We should not preach to them in a way that they will commit offense. But if we preach in a way that actually is logical, why not? So that is the method adopted, and actually this is not anything wrong. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is his characteristic? Maya mrigam dayitayep sitamanvadhavad. Anvadhavad. Dhavad means to run. Anvadhavad means chasing, running after someone. So he Maya mrigam. We are all capture. I mean, we are, what is that? Maya grasta. We're like wild animals. So he chases. You see, that's explained here. And so Maya, I don't go to the full verse. You see, Maya mrigam daitayep sitaman madhavad vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. So here, out of sheer mercifulness, you chased after the fallen conditioned souls who are always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion. So this is practically almost like preaching to the faithless, right? Chasing after, they are not interested, you are going after them. So this is the risk that a pure devotee takes, even at the cost of potentially disobeying the Lord's instruction in order to preach. But Acharya knows how to do it tactfully. But he does it. So if we follow the Acharya's method, we can also do it. That's why first Kirtan is there, so to bring a conducive atmosphere, and then class. And also when we're preaching to the scientific community, explain in a language they can understand, but never compromise with our philosophy. Prabhupada actually explained those in the letters. Actually, we are reading now that section BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute. Prabhupada is explaining how to explain. So anyway, here you see he chased after. Now, in connection with this, there is this verses in the Adilila. You see, ताहा देखी महाप्रभु करें चिंतन जगत डुबाइते आमी करिलु जतन केहो केहो एडाइल प्रतिज्ञा होइलो भंग ताशवा डुबाइते पातिबो किच्छु रंग. Ranga means trick. Kichu ranga. You see here, ranga means trick. So device, patibo kichu ranga. Seeing that the Mayavadis and others were fleeing, Lord Chaitanya thought, I wanted everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead, but some of them have escaped. Therefore, I should devise a trick to drown them also. Chasing. You see, purport also very important. Here is an important point. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to invent a way to capture the Mayavadis and others who did not take interest in the Krishna consciousness movement. This is the symptom of an Acharya. An Acharya who comes for the... We cannot invent our own way, speculation, but Acharya knows how to invent. And an Acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype. For he must find the ways and means by which Krishna consciousness may be spread. So here he uses the example of boys and girls, freely intermingle in the West. So we use both of them in preaching Krishna consciousness and by getting them married and stuff like that. And he, being a sannyasi, he did a marriage ceremony for grahasthas, which is never done in the history of sannyas. So he mentions that. But other than that, he devised many ways. Like this scientific preaching is another way. It's a trick that was devised. Book distribution is another trick. Transcendental plot, Prabhupada said. Transcendental plot. In which people, because the original way was, the people go to Gurukul, children, and then they learn something, Guru Dakshina. Here, book is given, Guru Dakshina is given. in the form of a sale, which people can understand. Sale is something people can understand, Western especially. India still they know dakshin and all these things. But here it's like in the form of a sale. It's actually like you're paying some dakshina for some knowledge in exchange. So it's a transcendental plot Prabhupada said I have devised. So that's another method. Of course, this is, even our acharyas have started. Srinivas Acharya first book distribution happened 500 years ago. Then he mentions this point again in the 737 purport. You see, Adi 737, just few verses after that. Aparadha ksamailo dubilo prema jale keba edaibo prabhura prema mahajale. Lord Chaitanya excused them all and they merged into the ocean of devotional service, for no one can escape the unique loving network of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jal means net, Mahajal. So loving net of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nobody can escape. So capturing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ideal Acharya, and Acharya is an ideal teacher who knows the purport of the revealed scriptures. This is important. He knows the purport. Although it is said, don't preach to the faithless, but he knows that Krishna's intention is actually to save the faithless. But if you introduce Krishna abruptly, then they may commit offense, which will be more harmful for them. So understanding the real intention behind that rule, he will try to introduce it in a way that they don't commit that offense, and eventually they will be injected with Krishna consciousness. So an Acharya is an ideal teacher who knows the purport of the revealed scriptures, behaves exactly according to their injunctions, and teaches his students to adopt these principles also. As an ideal Acharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu devised ways to capture all kinds of atheists and materialists. Every Acharya has a specific means of propagating his spiritual movement with the aim of bringing men to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, the method of one Acharya may be different from that of another, but the ultimate goal is never neglected. Tasmat kenapi upayena. See, that's the point. Then again he mentions the same point of engaging boys and girls in Krishna consciousness, preaching. So in this way, an Acharya should devise a means by which people may somehow or other come to Krishna consciousness. First they should become Krishna conscious, and all the prescribed rules and regulations may later gradually be introduced. So we are not interested. So what my point is that we have all these subjects of the Srimad Bhagavatam that extend to every single facet of the university education. You go in Wikipedia, there is a page of all the disciplines that are taught in the universities, all the different disciplines. Big, exhaustive list. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of subjects you can see. Our Krishna consciousness, our Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita knowledge extends to everything. Because Aham Sarvasya Prabhava is the origin of everything. So everything that exists can be connected back to the Lord. So we should know that practical application of that Aham Sarvasya Prabhava in the matter of preaching is that to go to all the Sarvasya, all the, what is that? Nirnam Santi Sahasrashaha. What is that? Shrotavyadini Rajendra. Nirnam Santi. They have thousands of subjects, but we know that Krishna is the source of every one of them. So we will enter those subjects and present Krishna to be the ultimate authority, ultimate hero in that subject, ultimate architect, artist, whatever the subject may be. Sports, let's say football. Krishna was the greatest football player. Krishna and his friends were playing football with, the bale fruit. Bale fruit is a light but hard fruit like a ball. They kick. They used to play that. And different types of games with the ball. And now we have so many types like tennis, what is a pickleball? It's something pickleball I'm hearing. New. Pickleball. All kind of games, and already these are there. You think cricket and all is not there in spiritual world. It is there. Otherwise, what is that? Janmas Jatse Yataha. Everything that is there here, origin is in spiritual world. So greatest cover drive is not Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, it's Krishna. So in this way, we have to present every facet of human life or animal life we can enter. Matsya, see animal, fish. The Lord has incarnations in every species. All those species where they came from the Lord only. That means the Lord has an original form in every one of those species. Trees, plants, insects, everything. He has a cockroach incarnation also, it must be. Prabhupada said that he has incarnation in every species. Cockroach incarnation also should be there. But his cockroach incarnation will be completely different from this menacing cockroaches. So he will be Shuddha Sattva, just like pig. Who would say that the Lord is pig? But he came as pig, boar, vara. He came as Matsya, Kurma, tortoise, slow moving. I know who's interested in that. Like, what is a big specialty then? Slow moving, nothing. But the Lord came and he stayed in one place and then just, had his back scratching done with the Mandara mountain. While the Asuras and Devatas were, fighting like anything, he was having back scratching going on, massage. So when he comes, he does uncommon Urukrama. He comes and does uncommon activities. So in this way, the Lord, everything that exists, we can connect to the Lord. So Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, the practical application should be, we should enter every of these, whether it is political debates or whether it is interfaiths, for example, interfaith other religions. We can enter and perfectly harmonize all religions with Bhagavatam. Perfectly. That's why, what is that verse? See. हेलोद्धूनित खेदया विशदया प्रोन्मील दामोदया शाम्यच्छास्त्र विवादया रसदया चित्तार्पितोन्मादया शश्वत भक्ति विनोदया समदया माधुर्य मर्यादया श्री चैतन्य दया निधे तव दया भूयाद मंदोदया सम्यक शास्त्र विवादया. Shamyat Shastra Vivadaya means what? Ends. What is that? Mitigating all the disagreements of the scriptures. So if this is true, if we chant this verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's daya is so, mercy is so potent that all the revealed disagreements of the scriptures and different religions can be resolved, then we should actually have it in practice, right? So we should present the ultimate. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said all religions will eventually, very soon, come into as tributaries to join the great river of Krishna consciousness, the Ganga of Krishna consciousness. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur already made that prediction. So we should work towards that. We should work towards harmonizing every religion. And all signs, everything, we have to bring them to Krishna. Every single facet we can use like this. We should not be carried away by those subjects. We should catch the weak point and bring them to here. They will have so many weak points. So we need to catch that. We should be very convinced with our philosophy, our science, Vedic science. Using that, we have to capture these people. So that's the way we should conquer the world. We should conquer the world. We should not sit idly until the whole world is conquered. Our work is laid out right before us. There's no rest. We have to conquer the world. Not with any violence, but with love of God. With full compassion for all fallen conditioned souls. This can be done. We should not lose sight of that real goal. Prithvite achujata nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar haiva morna. And we have to invent ways, and we don't need to invent too many things. I mean, just this principle Prabhupada already mentioned, showed by this preaching to scientists and talking to law enforcing officers, police superintendent. He was speaking, sometimes politicians. We can enter any subject matter and bring Krishna there and make it relevant to the people. So in that way, we have to do our preaching. So even destruction as a topic which is such a niche topic of astrophysicists is described and discussed with all people and very easily understandable in the form of these descriptions in the Bhagavatam. So I would like to stop here. Wow, 10 o'clock. Any questions or comments on this topic? Devadatta will always have questions.
No question. Like actually, recently when Sumar was there in concert, so he quoted one verse. It's like a book. He said like there's a levels of knowledge. Spiritual knowledge, roots,
Aprakrita.
So in that question, we can quote right. Like he said that dogs can see different needs.
Yes. Yes. Nice. I think it's there.
Like 1969,
Nine. Paroksha, aparoksha. Yeah. Paroksha, right? Paroksha, aparoksha, adhoksha, aprakrita. Different stages of understanding. Pratyaksha, paroksha, aparoksha, adhoksha, aprakrita. 4, 4, 12, 19. No? Purport is it? Direct knowledge, knowledge received from authorities, transcendental knowledge, knowledge beyond the senses, and finally spiritual knowledge. The Sanskrit words are like that just now. So yeah, different stages of understanding, but it's the same thing. Vastu tattva, advitiya vastu is also nicely explained in the Tattva Sandarbha again, because it is mentioned advayam, yajnanam advayam, vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam, brahmeti paramatmeti. So if it is advayam, advayam means two meanings. It has no second when it's the topmost, advitiya, and another meaning is non-dual. Everything there is nothing separate from it. At the same time, there is nothing equal to it. So in both ways, advaya. And this advitiya vastu is mentioned here 12, 13, 12. Sarva Vedanta Saram Yad Brahmatmaikatva Lakshanam Vastu Advitiyam Tan Nishtham Kaivalyaika Prayojanam. So Advitiyam, Vastu Advitiyam. This Vastu is that Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulim. This Vastu is absolute truth. Vedyam, Vastu Vedyam. So we have to know the absolute truth. But it is why, if it is one, if it is Advitiya, if it is one, then why there are 3 stages of understanding? So that is explained that 3 levels of our perception or advancement. Progressively it is revealed. Yeah, that is there. What? Somebody else had something else?
Yeah. So actually it refers to which among the Vishnus. Because Shukla Ambara means white.
White cloth.
So which form of
usually is Pitambaram.
Yeah, this is
Pitambaram. There must be, of course, the Lord has. I mean, in the probably Vishwaksena is Shuklambaradharam. I don't know. Shuklambaradharam, who's wearing the Shuklambaram. So, I mean, we dress the Lord in multiple colors. So, he would definitely have. In fact, there is a pastime of. I mean, first of all, whatever colors are there is coming from the Lord. Of course, he's known as Pitambaram. Balram as Neelambaram. So, in this way, there are divisions. But also, there's pastime of Radha Kṛṣṇa, which is completely white, everything white. Even the Vrindavan gardens, everything white. You know that pastime? Raghunath Das Goswami wrote that. So, everybody wears white, complete white. Like one day, recent Snana Yatra, we had a white dress like that, complete everything white. I don't know, but it's Vishnu that much. I don't know. Sankarshan, does he wear white? Yeah. Okay, anything else? We'll stop it here. Later we have festival also. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ताई गौर प्रेमानंद।